The Flying Church is probably one of the main reasons I chose the Dark Angels. So, almost 2 decades after I briefly picked the hobby up, I finally got one, and well, let's give it a go. And this is how I painted the Dark Talon. So, I started out with a darker purple, and you can use any colors you want. I don't remember the names of all of them because I have a variety of brands. I even use some Walmart paint. I'm all about that pour hammer. So I started out with the dark purple as the base for the marble that I was going for. So just like the purple, second color I come in with like a darker gray. And this is just like a bath sponge that I ripped a chunk off of. And we're just going to dab that on to get some random organic shapes. And we're going to come back in with some gold next, but I end up hitting these with this Q-tip just because it didn't really pick up with the sponge very well. So same process with the gold. You want to make sure that those colors underneath the bottom layers are still visible, so I kind of went thinner with the design and, chose like different veins for the marble. And again, those don't pick up a ton of the detail, but you can go back in with the veins later on. Now, this is just a piece of sterile cotton or like gauze. I know that you can do it with like antibacterial wipes if you rinse them and dry them out, but you stretch them out thin, and this gives you that. Again, it's just an organic kind of random shapes that you want. And while it worked, I don't think it really was worth. It was nice to get that initial sharp contrast for that color on those shapes, but I ended up blending a lot of it in. Maybe more than I wanted to, but the end process I was happy with. So, and this is just, I think it's pale, but it's like a pale bone, wraith bone. And yeah, I gave up on the gauze for those because picking up that detail was kind of tough anyway, so I just switched to a dry brush. After this last layer, when I'm finally happy with it, jump into lead belcher, and we do all the shiny metal bits. So we did the engine intake, the thrusters. I'd already had those painted. In my haste to put this sweet model together, I glued the bolters into the case and, glued them in under the wing. So that was awesome painting that. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody unless you want to, not have fun. So I hit some skulls and some of the pipes across it, and there you go. Next we move on to the purple wash that I use for the veins, the finer detail in the marble. And this is the first layer of those, I believe first of 3 layers. So I had a purple contrast, and I actually used the cruddy water that I had been using for those layers of the wings previously. So it had just that muddy, whatever color it was, but I wasn't particular about it. So we're just going for, if you've done any kind of lightning effects, it's kind of the same thing. We're just trying to go for a transparent layer. In this case, I use that purple. And I'm just trying to create, lightning bolts or veins in the marble. And as you can see, I'm actually trying to outline those harder edges of the top layer of that lighter color that we used. And some of the lines I end up making a little heavier. But that's all we're trying to do. We're going to start with this first layer and we're going to try to work each layer up with finer lines. And after that, we're actually going to come back in with it's like a cooler white, I believe I ended up using, and I end up lightly covering some of these spots and blending in so it looks like these veins are receding into stone, as if it was like a slab of marble they cut out and slapped on this flying church. And I actually go back to the other wing, which I had previously done, just to fill in some more space. You can see I made it a little heavier in that spot. Made some patches in between those veins. You know, some Bob Ross accidents. Just feel it. And we're going to do the same process on those other sculpted bits. So we're trying to go for sharp lines of that first layer of transparent purple, so we can build the finer lines of those veins for the marble out. And these just being as difficult as they are to get in there and do detail, I just the wash ended up being I'm not so sure how much visible because of the way it seeped into that model, but the other ones, I mean, ultimately I liked how they turned out, but I probably could have done less and gotten similar results than, because I had done a wash over it, which didn't really work. This is probably the second or third attempt when I decided to go up here on this top side and do veins. For the finer layer detail on top of that purple we just did, I wanted some of that gold to show through that we put in on the wings and in those underlayers. So I mixed some of that same purple contrast with, I believe it was like a Walmart brand, gold paint, craft paint, and a brown and a red. And we mixed that together until just enough of that gold flake came through I was happy enough with. And same process, a finer line so the layer underneath shows, trying to go down the middle of that previous line we made with the purple wash. And we're looking for nice clean lines going back down. Some of them I went off script and I didn't follow the purple wash. And again, just, you know, feel it in your heart. That's the final layer, and we're going to repeat this on the rest of it as well, over those the purple wash that we did, the veins on any of the sculpted bits. So that's how I did the marble effect on my Dark Talon. I'm going to have to chop this video up into probably 2, maybe 3 parts. I have very limited space, and my technology is, well, it's old. I mean, I'm running on a pretty much DIY system here. So if you enjoyed what you saw, drop a like. If you want to see some more cool stuff in the future, subscribe. And thanks for watching Shadow Fox Studios.